Now that we've exported our testpool.zip file out of Respondus, let's go ahead and import that pool of questions directly into Blackboard. To do this, we'll simply go down and open up our web browser, log into CI Learn, and navigate to your course. Next, we'll need to scroll down on the left-hand side under the Course Management section and click on the Control Panel, and then click on the link for Course Tools. If you scroll down a little further, you'll find a link for Test, Surveys, and Pools. Go ahead and click on that link, and now we can import our pool of questions. We'll do that by simply clicking on the link for Pools. We'll click on the link for Import Pool, click the button for Browse My Computer, and navigate on your hard drive until you find your testpool.zip file that we exported out of Respondus. Go ahead and click on that file and hit the Open button. Then hit Submit. Blackboard should return a note letting you know that the pool import has completed. The next step is to go ahead and create our test. We'll do that by going over and selecting the content area inside of Blackboard where we want our test to appear. We'll then click the drop-down menu for Assessments and select Test. Since we don't have an existing test already, we'll go ahead and click the Create button. We'll give our test a name, Test Week 2. We can provide a description to our students, scroll down, and then type in any additional instructions. Finally, scroll to the very bottom of the page and click the Submit button. The next step we need to do is to add our question pool directly to our test. We do that by clicking on the drop-down menu for Reuse Question and select the first item, Create Question Set. Here, we can see in the left-hand side under Pools, we have our test pool that we just imported. Simply check the box next to it, and all of your questions will appear. Next, we'll check the box at the top to select all of the questions. If we want to deselect any one question, we could deselect the one question or add it back in if you only want to add a particular question. We'll then go to the bottom and click the Submit button. Next, we'll need to set up a couple of parameters about our question set. The first thing, we'll come over here on the right-hand side and set the number of points per question. I'll click inside of that link, and in this case, I only want each question to be worth 1 point instead of the default 10. So I'll simply type in 1 and then click the Submit button that's associated with this pop-up window. I'll notice that my total points is now worth 1 point, but I have 3 questions in there. Well, that's because we need to set the number of questions that we want displayed as part of this test. We'll come over to here and set this to the number of questions that we want displayed out of this total pool. Since we know we have 3 questions in the pool, let's go ahead and display all 3 questions. So I'll type in 3 and click the Submit button. Now I can finally click the OK button, and now my test has all of those questions associated with it. Let's go ahead and click the Submit button to finally create this test. As we scroll down to our final test options, we have a chance to edit any description for our test and set up any specific parameters that we want. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and leave everything set to the default settings except for Make Link Available. We'll change that from No to Yes so our students will be able to see the test. I'll go ahead and scroll down a little bit further to the due date, and I'll set the due date to be September 12th at 11:59 p.m. This way, the test will appear on our course calendar. Finally, I'll scroll down to this lower section and make sure that I have my test presentation set to present all at once, and I want to make sure that my questions are randomized for each test attempt. So each time a student goes into this test, they're presented with the questions in a slightly different order. Finally, I'll click the Submit button to deploy my test. I can see my test is available to my students. I'll go ahead and click on it to double check it. I have my instructions. I can click the Begin button, and now I see all of my questions listed out here inside of my exam, and I have each point value associated with each question.